So I'm pleased to welcome Sarah Koppelman, Alyssa Green, and Ariel Fromowitz, who together with their colleagues Zora Shahal and Steve Kurtz put together this poster, The Selective Mutism University, Assessing Users' Experiences with an Interactive E-Learning Course.
Hi. So in order to address limitations in access to care and resources for key stakeholders in children's lives to learn about selective mutism, Selective Mutism University, or SMU, was developed as a free online course. SMU consists of didactic videos, intervention skill modeling videos, quizzes with corrective feedback, and questions soliciting demographic info and feedback from participants. To note, the course is derived from the empirically supported protocol PCIT-SM, or Parent-Child Interaction Therapy for Selective Mutism. The present study seeks to expand upon this work by assessing data from close to 6,000 users and reporting on their experience with course content and their feedback. With regards to the methods, we analyzed descriptive statistics from data related to users' primary roles, quiz performance, and feedback recorded at the conclusion of the course.
So now moving into results, one of the major pieces of data that we collected was participants' primary roles to inform our understanding of who's taking the course. As you can see in this pie chart here, the majority of participants are parents of children with SM or mental health professionals. However, there's also a substantial number of individuals who have other professions or roles, such as speech language pathologists, teachers, and friends or relatives of children with SM. So in these segmented bar charts here, you can see that the green segments represent those who passed each of the quizzes below. So there was 2 quizzes for the child-directed interaction module of the course and 2 for the verbal-directed interaction module. So if participants got an 80, 90, or 100%, that was a pass. If they got less than that, then it was not a pass, so, which is represented by the red bars here. As you can see, there's some variability in terms of the passing rate amongst the different quizzes, but overall, we're seeing a very desirable level of difficulty in that most enrollees are passing, but not every single enrollee is passing, indicating that the course is too easy. So we're at a desirable level of difficulty. And lastly, we took a look at participants' open-ended feedback, which we then coded to correspond to different categories. As you can see, the large majority of feedback was positive. In terms of constructive feedback, that was mostly with regards to course format or process. So participants that may have wanted the longer didactic video to be cut up into different smaller segments. We also found that many participants were interested in having course extensions, specifically those. There were many interested in having a course that was specific to adults working with teens with SM and how to adapt the skill set to work with that age group, in addition to a course specific for teachers or speech language pathologists.
So to highlight some of these key takeaways after looking at users' experience with our course, we found that almost 50% of users reported having little to no prior training with working with children with SM, and actually 43% reporting having no experience at all. And so this really tells us, being an introductory course, that we are reaching the intended audience of beginners who are really just getting their feet wet and learning some of these skills. We did find that while the course had an initial dropout rate, when we're looking at those who initially registered for the course, we did find that 62% of users who enrolled in the first quiz and took the first quiz did go on to complete the course, which shows us that overall we had high retention rate. We also found that over 50% of users reported having more than one role, but we only reported on their primary role. So we didn't fully capture users who were maybe a parent, but also a mental health professional, or maybe also a teacher. So that includes some of our limitations of this study, and other potential limitations were that there was no anonymity in the reporting and the feedback, so it is possible that our results were skewed in a positive direction. And additionally, we were only able to collect feedback from those who completed the course. We did, as we mentioned, receive overwhelmingly positive feedback, and the constructive feedback, as mentioned, was mostly suggestions for extensions of the course, which helps us to really inform our future directions and potentially adding more interactive features and more tailored versions to specific populations. But overall, we were really pleased with the findings from these analyses, and we look forward to using this data to continue developing future resources for selective mutism.
Thank you all for sharing about this very helpful resource. I do have a question for your team. What is your interpretation of the distribution of the primary roles of your enrollees or the participants in the course?
Thank you for asking. So in looking at the distribution of primary enrollees, we can make a few different interpretations. First of all, as Alyssa mentioned earlier, the vast majority of our participants, or the two biggest groups, were parents of children with SM and mental health therapists for children with SM. And this demonstrates to us that these are the main enrollees, so we want to ensure that for future iterations of the course, we're targeting the course to them especially. Further, what we can also see is they're not the only categories of people. There's actually a really wide range of types of people who are taking this course, which is something we're really thrilled to see, that it's accessible and usable by people in all different careers and roles in the life of a child with selective mutism. And finally, it's important to note that while these two may be the biggest categories, we see a large percentage of speech language professionals and teachers of children with selective mutism, which is particularly notable because they're often the first line of people who will detect the selective mutism and work with children with selective mutism. So it's great to see that they're taking the course, and also very important for us to consider them when we're making future iterations of the course. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for presenting today and being here at the conference.